Georgia's a 15.5-point favorite over Missouri. Now, Missouri is the best team that Georgia has faced in the regular season, and I think that this is... No, I don't think. I know. This is the most consequential game that Georgia will play in the regular season. At this point in time, maybe things happen and the Tennessee game ends up becoming that, but at this point in time, Georgia will not play a more consequential game than this one against Missouri, because if Missouri wins this, they control the East, and they control their destiny to get to the SEC Championship and the College Football Playoff, and Georgia will not. Georgia will be waiting for the cards to fall, and they won't have control. It won't have the control that it needs to know where you're at on a week-to-week basis. That's what's on the table. That's what's on the line in this game Saturday, and I want people to know how important this is. And there's only 2 more Saturdays in Athens, so if you're getting out there, make them count. And look, I'm expecting an electric environment because Georgia fans should know how important this thing is. Now, what's the worst case scenario? Is Georgia losing this game? How would that happen? How could Missouri possibly beat the Georgia Bulldogs? I got 3 things that I think they'd need to do, or at least do a little bit of, for them to beat Georgia in Athens. Homecoming environment. This is going out on Friday. The homecoming parade is today. I'm recording this Thursday night. The homecoming parade is today. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. It was very cold on Thursday in Athens. It's going to be a cold weekend. What needs to happen for Georgia to lose? What would have to happen for Missouri to get the upset? Looking at the other side of this thing so we can evaluate it and we can see what, in turn, Georgia should not do, what they can't afford to happen on Saturday. Ryan Cully from Dog Post here. Before we get into it, thanks for bearing with me, and thanks for being a 5-star Georgia fan when you sign up for the newsletter in the description down below. All right, first thing that I think Missouri needs to do is create turnovers. Create turnovers. And I'm always going to say that. I'm always going to say, and a key to the game, how do you win a football game? Take the ball away from them. Don't allow them to score. But creating turnovers will be very, very important for Missouri to get a chance for multiple reasons. For one, Georgia has a really good offense. All right? Missouri's already played the best offense it's going to see because it's the best offense in the country when I'm talking about LSU. And LSU put up 49. They put up 50. Last second pick 6 was the sweetener on that. But LSU put up 49. And Missouri hasn't exactly held all of these opponents to under 20 points, to under 30 points. Georgia's averaging 41 points per game. They're a top 10 scoring offense. They're a top 5 total offense. The offense has been ridiculous. Ridiculous? Is that a stretch? Is ridiculous a stretch? The offense has been very, very good, and creating turnovers gets their offense off the field and gets Missouri's offense on the field. Some of you guys might hate that I'm giving Missouri the keys to the game. They know this stuff. I want to reference the Auburn game and how turnovers they hurt Georgia. Took the ball away from them, and Georgia had to claw out of that. Second half deficit and a fourth quarter game-winning touchdown to beat Auburn. Part of that was because of the turnovers. It's a huge thing. And the other thing I want to point out is the clock rule. I haven't talked about this in a few weeks, but with the clock changes, we have seen Georgia, and part of that's because there were more turnover issues early in the season. Haven't seen Georgia had as many possessions. If Missouri is scoring and creating turnovers, Georgia's going to be in trouble a little bit. Moving on, run the ball effectively. They've got experience at running back in Cody Sherer. This guy makes big plays. This guy has a lot of production. I don't have his numbers pulled up in front of me. Does that make me unprepared? He's got over 800 rushing yards, I believe. He's an effective running back who's been around. I referenced this play earlier this week. He can make big plays, and he made a big play against Georgia last year. Malachi Starks just made a bigger one when he stopped him, but if Cody Sherer gets one more yard on that thing, maybe Georgia doesn't meet Missouri up there in Columbia, Missouri last year. Food for thought. So I think Brady Cook and I think this Missouri offense is going to score a couple times on Georgia. I just think it's going to happen. I think that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, right? Top 10 might be a little bit of a stretch, but the top 20 quarterback, if you're a top 15 or 20 quarterback in college football, I think you're doing something right. And I think that Brady Cook probably is that, has really good numbers, has very similar numbers to Carson Beck. And he's got great weapons in Luther Burden, Theo Wease as his two weapons on the outside. I think they're going to put Luther Burden all over the place. People have been talking about on social media all week about how, are they going to put Tyke Smith on him? Are they going to put this person on them? I don't think that they're going to just scheme a certain guy on him. We've almost never seen that. We didn't see that against Ohio State. We didn't see that against Tennessee. Unless you go and break down the tape and tell me that I really don't know what I'm watching. I don't think they just isolated a certain person onto their star. And they're not going to do that with Luther Burden. Running the ball effectively will make it a lot easier for Missouri to pass the ball and do what they do through the air with their playmakers. Running the ball effectively would have helped out Kentucky a lot. Would that not have changed the game? I went back and watched some of the Kentucky tape, and I was right about Devin Leary, but he made some nice throws, and he was under some pressure. Part of that was because their magical run game that amassed like almost 350 yards the week prior couldn't do anything near that against Georgia. That put all the pressure on Devin Leary. So running the ball effectively takes off the pressure of Brady Cook. That's another way Missouri could help themselves against Georgia. Last one I'm going to talk about, because it hasn't happened too much this season. Put the pressure on Carson Beck. Why wouldn't you put the pressure on Carson Beck? Because Carson Beck's a good quarterback who can get the ball out quick and make quick decisions. And he's got a gun. He can get the ball to Georgia's playmakers in a very fast manner. There's no other way to put it. He's got a rocky. He's got a gun. Those 10 to 25-ish yard throws just zip out of there for Carson Beck. He is so good at the intermediate passing and across the middle as well. Putting pressure on him is something that he hasn't had to deal with consistently. Part of that is because of how talented Georgia's offensive line is. Well, Missouri, if you want to beat Georgia, I think you got to put some pressure on Carson Beck. Force him to make a lot of quick decisions, and maybe he makes a couple mistakes, which ties into point one, which could lead to turnovers. This is looking at it from the opposite perspective, right? So if you're Georgia, you know that keeping the ball safe matters a lot. You know that stopping the run matters a lot, and I think stopping the run in Athens is a lot easier than stopping on the road. I apologize. I'm dealing with a cold. And I definitely just heard it then. Can't necessarily evaluate myself and my voice on that. It's definitely not normal. So thanks for bearing with me. Protecting Carson Beck. Protecting Carson Beck is obvious because he needs time to get it to Georgia's weapons, who I believe are going to help Georgia put up 40 points in this game. That's what I'm calling. I'm calling my shot at 41-23. Those are my three keys for Missouri, and also three things that Georgia needs not to happen. Big game for the Dogs on Saturday. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in Athens.